Good morning, gang. Happy Tuesday morning. Okay. Well, I want to go into one of my little getting wonky again here because this question comes up quite a bit. Pinball, when do you think the economy is going to finally collapse? Okay. Now, I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you, hey, it's going to happen November 13th. Make sure you get all your money out of the bank by then. I can't do that. But what I can do is kind of tell you what to watch for. Now, those of you that have been around for a long time know what I told you about the 10-year Treasury year and a half ago. And sure enough, as soon as we hit that 1.5, 1 3/4 rate, we went straight up. Okay. Yeah, the U.S. economy is in trouble. The U.S. government is bankrupt. Okay, they won't say it, but I mean, I'll give you this. We're at $30.8 trillion in the national debt. Okay. The U.S. total debt, this is government, this isn't credit cards and all this sort of stuff, is $92 trillion. Okay. I want to give you what's in the circulation right now. Between currency and credit derivatives, okay, which means every different kind of loan you can imagine, there's $609 trillion out there. All right. Now, there's only $837 billion in cash, but there's $609 trillion in funny money, okay, ones and zeros. Now, I want you to think about this. Right now, if we look at the 30-year Treasury bond, okay, and the reason I want to talk about the 30-year is because that's primarily how the U.S. government borrows money. All right, it's running right about 3.25%. Okay, we're up from in the 1 point somethings when Trump left office. All right, so the interest rate has doubled. And if you're an investor, you're going, yay, I'm getting more interest on my money. But you've got to think about who the borrower is. And the borrower is the U.S. government. Now, y'all know what a FICO score is. Y'all have one, okay? And if you pay your bills on time, you're going to get your credit score up in the 600s, 700s, maybe even hit 800, okay? If you went bankrupt, had a repo, don't pay your bills on time, you've got a credit score down 500, 400, 300, okay? Right? We all have one. So does the U.S. government, okay? Now, for the longest time, we were a AAA credit, the best that you could have. During the Obama tenure, we got real close to losing that AAA credit rating. Okay, but again, this is all on paper. This is just somebody calculating something. The U.S. was a better credit risk than Ghana. Okay, so I mean that was basically how it was determined. You were the best of a bad lot because there isn't a government in the world that anybody can really trust. All right, but so the U.S. was the best of the bad lot. Now, how does the U.S. economy run? At least according to the government, and for a lot of people, it's a debt-based economy. We borrow to buy stuff that we don't have the money for today with the promise of paying it back later. Right? That's what our economy is based on. Well, here's the deal. Let's say you are one of those people who had a bankruptcy or had a foreclosure or had a car repo or don't pay your credit card bills on time or you're over limit or whatever it is and you got a crappy credit score, right? So you go into the auto dealership and you want to buy a car. And the guy says, sure, no problem. We can finance you 15% interest. And you go, but the signs all over the store say 0% interest for 72 months. For somebody with good credit. Y'all know how this works, right? The worse your credit is, the higher interest rates you have to pay because the bank is worried about the risk they are taking. The exact same thing works with government debt. Okay? The lenders are investors, 401k plans, mutual funds, hedge funds, you and me, foreign countries, okay? And they loan money to the United States by buying treasury bonds. Now, we hear all the talk about Jerome Powell and I'm raising rates to control inflation. I'm raising rates to control inflation, right? That's what the news is talking about. It's all over the place. I'll give you a quick quote from Liawatha, that rocket scientist, economic genius out of Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren. This is a quote from her today. Do you know what's worse than high prices and a strong economy? First off, Liawatha, strong economy. Okay. It's high prices and millions of people out of work. I'm very worried that the Fed is going to tip this economy into recession. No, dumbass, we're already in recession. No matter how you try to redefine it, we're already there, okay? We aren't in a strong economy. That's when wages are going down and prices are going up, that is not a strong economy, dumbass, all right? But, so what's really going on here, and as the media tries to spin it, we're trying to get inflation under control. The way you get inflation under control, supply and demand again, you fix the supply chain. They aren't doing anything to fix the supply chain. Railroad strike looks like it's going to happen again. We've still got ships parked all over China. The ports are still backed up 2 years into this whole crap, and they can't blame COVID anymore. Okay, so we got a big-time supply chain problem. But so they're faking that they're trying to control the demand side. That if we can stop people from borrowing money and stop companies from borrowing money, that'll bring inflation down. Yeah, on paper that works. So does communism, but that's beside the point. What they're actually doing is trying to borrow more money. How do you think all of Joe's spending fiascos get paid for? It's borrowed money, right? The problem is nobody wants to loan the U.S. government money. Japan, who is the largest debt holder of U.S. debt, is selling the U.S. debt. They're cashing it in. They're getting out. China, who's the second largest debt holder, is selling U.S. debt. They're getting out. Okay? Nobody wants to loan the United States any money anymore. This is why they are raising rates. They are trying to entice Japan, China, to loan more money. Hey, you know what? We know you didn't want to do it at 1.5%, but how about at 3.25%? Would that be a little bit more interesting to you? Because they got to pay for this socialist, democratic socialist wish list that they have somehow. We ain't got the money. You know, coming in and saying we're raising taxes is the kiss of death, okay? And no politician ever wants to come out and say that they want to raise taxes unless they're a complete idiot. So, that means Joe's probably said it about 4 times already. But they go to borrow money, and that makes it sneaky that we don't see that what we're paying for, okay? Well, we've got to cut money from the military budget, and, we can't give Social Security a raise, and, whatever would be. Why? Because we've got all this debt service we need to pay. This is what's going on. This is why you want to watch the 30-year Treasury. If you take a look at what the 30-year Treasury bond has done in Biden's presidency, it starts out, it goes up a little bit, dips off just a bit, and then it's a moonshot. All right? What do we have expectations about the Fed at their September meeting? We got the next Fed meeting is in about 3 weeks. Okay. They're expected to raise rates at 0.75 point again. The more conservative people say, maybe they only do a half. The more aggressive ones are saying they're going to do a full point. Okay. The outlook for the November meeting, which is the following meeting, raise another 0.75%. Okay. We take expectations, not the lower the high, the 50 basis points or the full percent. That's 1.5% hike in interest rates from where we are now before Christmas. Okay. Granted, that's not directly on the 30-year bond. That's the overnight lending rate between banks, but that will get absorbed right into the 30-year Treasury bond, the 10-year, the 5-year, the 2-year, whatever it would be. This is the lie that we aren't being told. Why are they raising rates? What do you want to watch? The government is broke. They're beyond broke. There is no money. There is no way of paying this debt. Okay, it's feasibly impossible. All right. If I look at what the debt is, if I can find it here real quick, what the debt is the debt per citizen right now is 6,200. Oh, that's state debt. I'm sorry. No, I can't find. Oh, no, that's revenue. Okay, I can't find. But you can go look at usdebtclock.org and you can see all this sort of stuff. All right, but the country is screwed, and that's going to drag all of us along. This is what you're not being told. You want to know when the economy is going to crash? When China, Japan, forget Europe. I mean, Europe's got so many problems of their own right now. I mean, they're going to crash before we do. You're going to see relatively soon, okay? I mean, I can't say in a week or a month or anything like that, but relatively soon in the grand scheme of things. I'd say probably by the end of Biden's presidency, the U.S. will certainly lose our AAA credit rating and feasibly have to devalue our currency. That's when you get inflation driven by market conditions, not by the Federal Reserve. That's when we get hyperinflation. Watch the 30-year very closely. That will tell you what the U.S. has to pay to borrow money. Like I said, the worse your credit, the higher the interest rate you have to pay. Y'all know that. The country's now facing it too. And we are the one that gets stuck foot in the bill with our livelihood, our life, our budget, and everything else we have. They are trying and succeeding. Both parties, don't get me wrong, okay? Biden's just putting us on the fast track to the cliff of destroying the economy. And so are all the liberals around the world. I mean, if the last 10 years has not proven to people that liberalism, socialism does not work, I mean, it's never worked. There's never been a successful socialist/communist regime in the history of the world, ever. Okay. Europe's pretty much all gone socialist. Guess what? Europe's falling apart. The funny part about it is Eastern Europe, the Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary, they're the more conservative countries because why? They spent 70 years under Soviet rule. And they're like, we ain't ever going back. Western Europe's going, hey, doesn't this look like a good idea? Let's just make everything free for everybody. Because we don't elect the best and brightest, that's for sure. We elect the ones who can't get a job in the real world. Okay, those are the people who wind up in politics. You know, think about any politician. Would you want to work for them? Okay, would you want to work with them? Would you hire them? No. Okay, because they are lying sacks of shit and dumb as a box of rocks. You know, I mean, come on. AOC's the only one I know that needs the recipe to make ice. So, you know, and she was a bartender. But, you know, this is it, guys. Pay attention to the bond market. That is your telltale sign as to when the economy is going to fall apart. We start seeing a big jump, real quick, don't look at the stock market going down, all right? Watch the bond market, because the bond market's more real time. And as interest rates on treasury bonds start spiking, that's when you know we're in a world of shit. Have a good Tuesday. Pinball out.